Tapper, and we begin with breaking news out of Brussels, where the president is rallying world leaders at an emergency summit discussing new ways to punish Russia for its unprovoked invasion of Ukraine. President Biden insists NATO has never been stronger, despite the Russian president's intentions.
Putin was banking on NATO being split. My early conversation with him in December and early January was clear to me he didn't think we could sustain this cohesion. NATO has never been more united than it is today. Putin is getting exactly the opposite of what he intended to have as a consequence of going into Ukraine.
President Biden also promised to respond if Putin were to use chemical weapons in Ukraine, and he said it's time for the G20 to show Russia the door. Let's get right to our CNN team on the ground in Brussels. Nick Robertson and Caitlin Collins joins us live. Caitlin, let's start with you. This is the first time President Biden has come out and said he wants Russia out of the G20. How significant is that?
It's probably the biggest news to come out of his press conference, Pamela, where President Biden said, yes, he does agree with a statement that the Australian Prime Minister has made, which is they don't believe Russia deserves a spot in the G20. Of course, as you know, the G20 is the summit of leading economies across the globe. It's not something that's just made up of democracies, though we should know. China is a member of the G20. Saudi Arabia is a member of the G20. But given, of course, this bloody invasion that has happened, where obviously civilians have died and had to flee their country by thousands and millions, this is a stance that President Biden took today, saying he does not believe Russia should be able to participate in the G20. They have a summit every year. This year it's in Indonesia. But President Biden said if Russia is still in, that should be inviting Ukraine and having them come. Now, whether or not that actually happens, it remains to be seen. This wouldn't be completely foreign to Russia if they were kicked out of the G20. They were kicked out of the G8, remember, after what happened in 2014 with their illegal annexation of Crimea. It became the G7, which is the group of leaders that also met today to talk about this invasion. But certainly significant for the President of the United States to come out and say he does not believe Russia deserves to participate in that forum with those other world leaders at this point.
And Nick, he made it clear that the decision isn't just up to him, right? The other G20 countries have to go along with that. How likely are those other countries to go along with removing Russia from the alliance?
You know, despite the warning to China today not to give economic or military support to Russia, we've heard from the Chinese saying that they don't think Ukraine is a suitable topic, and the sort of humanitarian military situation in Ukraine is a suitable topic for the G20. So they're already signaling there that they don't see an objection to having Russia there at the moment. They've been backing Russia essentially at the United Nations Security Council on key votes there. I think the Saudis are an interesting one. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia has a very close relationship with President Putin. The Saudis have been very slow. You could almost say that they have been have decided not to ramp up oil production at the speed President Biden and other leaders would like to see them to do, to make up for the shortfall of oil and gas supplies that could be a result of any cut in supplies that Russia inflicts on the European Union and other nations. So it's quite possible the Saudis would not stand with President Biden on that one. And I'm thinking as well here of the Argentinians. Alberto Fernandez, one of the recent presidents to go visit President Putin in Russia just a couple of weeks before the war began, he actually got a hug from President Putin. So I don't think we'll see the Argentinians as well backing that vote. But the Europeans, we can expect the British and French, Germans to be quite strong about whether or not Russia should be in or out of the G20.
All right, Caitlin, I'm going to bring you back in because President Biden said that the U.S. will respond if